How you guys doing? What's up? My name is Nick Tinch. I'm a real estate investor out of Richmond. I actually sit here on the board for the real estate program. We have a 4-year degree real estate program in commercial residential. So if you're looking to get into a good program at Virginia Tech, check us out. We would love to have you. I don't know what you guys will be studying, but nevertheless, I'm hoping you guys are coming to our program. Don't just come to college thinking that this is kind of like the end, if that makes sense. I didn't graduate college until I was like 37. I'm in my 40s now. But it didn't stop me from making millions of dollars, right? And having a 7-figure net worth. Once I learned my learning style and I developed a professionalism to that learning style, it ended up changing my life and my circle, right? Now, that still didn't stop me from, feeling a little insecure about being part of certain organizations. Even here at Virginia Tech, even every time I come on this campus, I'm in awe. I'm like, this is crazy. For me to be a part of the university now and doing everything I can to help it grow and push it forward, I get amazed every time. One thing I can say about Virginia Tech, they're very serious about students learning from a real time situation. So my name is Nick. This is Devontae. I call him Vaughn. So I'm going to basically go over what I do as a real estate investor, basically how I got into it, a little bit of my background, and kind of what landed me here to Virginia Tech, which I'm very grateful for. So long story short, born and raised in Florida, been in Virginia for I think 8 to 9 years, graduated high school, reading on a 2nd grade reading level. Been on my own since I've been 16. Let's see, graduated with a special diploma, ADHD, dyslexia, all that stuff you can say for a kid that's growing up in Florida I had. Let's see, raised by a single parent. No experience is not valuable. It's all in how you look at it as an asset or a liability. Even some of your worst experiences can be an asset. Me living on my own at 16, having it kind of tough early on actually became an asset now because it taught me some discipline skills that I needed, right? At the end of the day, if I would have listened to some folks when I was, coming up, right, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at. So even with writing, I never liked writing at all. Like graduating high school with a special diploma and reading on a 2nd grade reading level, that crap one just is like, I didn't like writing. These are some of the books I've written. I've written, I think, 12 books. All these are on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. 9 types of real estate investing. I do fix and flip. That's my bread and butter. I love to fix and flip houses. I do it in the Richmond, the Petersburg area, the Chesterfield area, Ashland, just anywhere outside of the Richmond area. That's how I do it. You have fix and flip. You have long-term rental properties, short-term vacation, wholesaling, public real estate investor trust, you can set those up, real estate trusts, stock funds, cloud funding, private equity. Bob right here does asset-based lending, so it's based off of this cup, right? I have maybe 10 lenders. And they're private lenders. So I go to him, I was like, hey Bob, I need $200,000. Bob acts as the bank. He's gonna put first lien position, so like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BB&T Bank, which is Truist now, Bob will be the first lien position. But this is a private guy. This guy don't ask for tax returns. He don't ask for my paycheck stubs. He don't check my credit report. My credit report, that's called asset-based lending, right? So he gives me the money. I then take that money, I go buy an asset. So he gives me a loan based off of me being in the business, the industry, but he's in first lien position the way a bank would do. I can't sell the property until I settle his debt, right? I purchased this property for $8,000. I put $85,000 into it. I sold it for $175,000. So $8,000 purchase, $85,000 rehab costs, $174.75 it was sold for. So after paying the lender back, this gentleman here, I think I netted like over between 75 to 80 some thousand. I believe I netted on that one deal. And usually I do 3 of those at a time. All right, 17 ways to borrow money. There's multiple ways for you to borrow money in real estate. Let's say your grandparents or somebody retires from a company. They can roll their 401k over into a self-direct IRA and lend money on it. I go to this gentleman right here, or Miss Susie. She done retired from General Electric. She has like 200K sitting in her self-direct Roth IRA. She then lends money to me based off of the asset. Has nothing to do with, like I say once again, my credit score, my tax returns, my K1, my business tax returns. And then she's in first lien position. She gives me what's called draws to complete the property, and then I give her money back. And then we rinse and repeat. You have personal loans you can do, you have seller financing you can do, meaning that with my buildings, a couple of people asked me a couple of times with those buildings, hey, will you seller finance? Meaning that I'll still hold the lien note. We'll write up paperwork through our attorneys. They'll give me a down payment. The buildings will stay in my name, and they'll basically take over the buildings of operations until they can either refinance them into their business name or they pay down the loan. So that's seller finance. Basically, you own the property, you own the asset. You just hold the note until the person pays it off. You acting as the bank, right? Family, friends, home equity lines, HELOCs. Let's say if your parents or you guys own a piece of property, you can take out a home equity line of credit on it to buy a piece of real estate. You can save money there, right? Versus paying a lender to do it. Crowdfunding, cross collateral. You got places out there like Lehman Capital. You got Blackstone, BlackRock, Finance of America, which is owned by them. Real estate is probably one of the most interesting assets you can probably have. If you understand how to leverage the asset, if you understand how to play the long-term game, and then if you understand how to be patient. Have your parents, if your parents are in the position to do it, purchase either a duplex, a fourplex for you guys. You live in it, right? Or buy it in your name or in a company name that you own, right? And you can buy, I think, up to a fourplex with an FHA loan, right? And consider having them, and y'all rent it out to your classmates. So you're managing your property, you know what I mean? And you own it. And, whether you're in a fraternity or whatever, you guys rent it out to your friends or whatever, right? Or have a property management company manage it for you, right? If that makes sense. You guys need to consider doing what's called JV deals while you're in college, joint venture deals, meaning that 3 or 4 of y'all set up a company, an entity, y'all take your FAFSA financial aid, and this is all just recommended, I ain't telling you what to do, because y'all gonna mess it up anyway. So a lot of times, you might as well form a company while you're here. Consider forming a company while y'all in school. Like you do a one-pager, he's the CFO, she's the CEO, she's the chief marketing officer, she's the chief analytical officer, and then look at buying a property. Each one of you guys take $3,000 to $5,000 a piece, put it into the company, split the organization down the middle, and start looking at property here in Blacksburg or wherever, Professors probably can be one of the best resources you guys can ever have. They have a lot of data that you can't have. I met Vaughn, like I said, when he was 19. He impressed the heck out of me. I was in real estate at the time. I started mentoring him. Now I call him a mentor. I call him like my godson too, a business partner. He's a very astute young man, and he's very sharp.
So my name is Monte, Campbell in short, Campbell like the suit. I started off, I actually met Nick in, I think it was 2019, if I was 19, yeah, 2019. I'm currently 22. I was a military brat. I grew up in Upper Marlboro, but I also lived in Canada, Germany, and I graduated high school in Texas. I ended up moving back up to Virginia, to Northern Virginia to go to George Mason University. While I was in school, I was working 3 different jobs in order to fund my first venture. So my first venture, this is my entrepreneur journey. It started in 8th grade when I was selling candy. I then got shut down by the school. I started sneaker reselling. Well, I discovered sneaker reselling about my senior year of high school. Then I started doing sneaker reselling. My mom gave me $300 to start. That's how I really got started. I bought 2 pairs, sold one online. Second pair I sold to a friend that I never got paid for, and that's what got me started. So from there, I was actually too determined to stop because I had to pay my mom back her $300. And then I started working my senior year of college at Foot Locker. Opened up 15 accounts. I would go to Foot Locker every single day. At first, I did not have a car. I used to take the train to the shuttle. No, I used to take the shuttle to the train to the mall, then go pick up all the shoes and then do the same thing back to campus. Yeah, so I created my own blueprint, which I advise everyone to do. There's a lot of people that tell you guys what to do online. That's their blueprint. You can follow it, but your blueprint will always be different. Whatever you do, your process, you guys are all individually different, and I advise you to do something of your own. So I started supplying stores all the way from up Annapolis, Maryland, all the way down to Texas. I used to fill my car up with shoes, and I used to drive to Texas. I did that twice in 2021. And I focused on volume more than anything. So instead of charging people the highest ticket, I would just make a little bit of money, and I focused on low ticket, high volume. And that was essentially my model that no one else wanted to do, I guess. They wanted to make the most amount of money per transaction. I ended up totaling my car. This was a day that changed my life. Your life can change in one moment. So everything that you thought you were, everything that you thought you had, can actually get taken away from you like that. And that's exactly what happened to me. I called Nick and I said, this is what just happened. I crashed my car. I don't know what to do. They stole everything. And he said, you'll be all right. And I didn't understand what that meant. But he said, if you can't get your stuff back, just leave it alone. You'll figure it out. And I said, okay. And I went and sat down and I tried to find happiness within myself. And that's what I did for a complete 6 months. So I asked him, I said, is there any way I can ride with you just to see what exactly it is you do? He said, well, like, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So I drove from Upper Marlboro, Maryland to Richmond like 2-3 times a week. And my mom would yell at me. She'd be like, you're crazy, like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So I drove with him. And I think the first day we took 2 trips to Lowe's, which kind of threw me off because when I did shoes, I was very strategic in the way I moved. Yeah, so I would keep track of everything I did and I would try to optimize it every single week. I said, why are we taking 2 trips to Lowe's when you have contractors? Do you have to pay your contractors extra in order to pick up materials? He was like, no. And I was like, so why don't you just make them pick it up? And he was like, so we were walking, he's like, what's your Cash App? And I was like, huh? He ended up paying me. So that was like my first experience in consulting. That was the first time I ever got paid to talk to somebody. I ended up building out a system for all the properties that he had in his pipeline. Because we would go from house to house, and then someone would ask him for like a piece of paper, and he would walk around with this fat duffel bag and with all these papers falling out. He would turn in the car, and all it would just roll over. Yeah. Everything would just be messed up. So I was like, you need to see all this on your phone and maybe on your computer at the same time. Yep. So that was basically for him to track where he was over budget at on certain properties, visualize everything within his pipeline. And now I'm a global strategy and management consultant. So I work with many different industries I don't work with flooring anymore, but I work with Nick in real estate investing. I work with solar companies. I work with freight brokers. I work with, who else? Oh yeah, all the sneaker stores that I used to supply, I kind of went back and I told them, I don't sell shoes anymore, so I can help you guys get more customers. Well, retarget your customers and increase your customer retention. And they looked at me, they were like, what? And I was like, I can increase the lifetime of your customers. In other words, I'll help you make more revenue every month. And they're like, okay. So I ended up putting 3 stores under contract. They asked me how much and I didn't know, so I just said, just pay me $1,000 a month. And they were like, okay. And then I added another clause in there where I take 2% of their revenue after we hit their sales goals. I listen to people around me. I listen to all their problems and I just come up with a solution. So if you hear people talk about problems all the time, 90% of the time there's a solution for it. They just not that deep of a problem for them to look into it, or they don't want to take the time to do it. Has anyone heard of Alex Hormozy? What he does is I utilize his model, which is you give away as many gems as possible. Everything that you could possibly know, you give it away, but you sell implementation. So what I do is I give away as much knowledge that I know for free, and I don't charge for it, and I actually sell implementation. Because when you tell people things that you know, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's nice. I still need help. And then that's where you can make money. So if you come at people and just say, here, buy this, please, 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 they're not gonna buy it. If you come in here and you say, here, you can do this, this, and this, and walk away, they're gonna say, hey, come back, please. And then you can sell it. So that's kind of the model that I utilize in everything that I do. I actually changed my entire life. I changed my schedule around. So I actually go to sleep at 8:30 p.m., around 9-ish, and I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. And I just research every single day. I wake up at 3:30, I run like a mile, 2-3 miles, whatever like that. I take a shower, I journal, and then I start my day. I sit down in the basement and I just start, whatever it is. I have like 3 whiteboards and I just write out everything that needs to get done today. And I just start. I start a lot of companies in my free time. We have another one, an asset management company starting up in Texas. I don't do this by myself. So my home service company, I hired my uncle. He's 50 years old as a managing partner in order to help me because I cannot do that by myself. If you ever, oh yeah, that's one thing I learned from shoes. If you cannot do everything by yourself. No. You literally cannot. Like you will burn yourself out into absolute nothingness. Once you have the right mindset, it directs your approach. Once you have the right approach, you can establish the correct structure. Once you have the correct structure, which is then when you can execute. You cannot get to number 4 without fixing number 1. You cannot get to number 4 without fixing number 2. Mindset, there's no place called success. Success is literally a journey. When you say, oh, you're gonna get this and then you'll be successful, or you're gonna do this and then you'll be successful, it's actually false. You can do all the planning that you want. Nothing happens until you start. If you don't apply the knowledge as you know, if you don't implement it into your daily actions, it's absolute nothingness. We can look up how to make a 6-pack, how to get a 6-pack in 2 days. Google will tell you all the information that you need to know. But until you start, you just won't have it. It means absolutely nothing.
Google real estate investor meetup groups locally. That's where you'll find your wholesalers. Wholesalers are the best. A wholesaler is an unlicensed realtor, meaning that they get a property on the contract and then they can sell it to you. They'll sign it to you. So REIA groups, real estate meetup groups, you can Google them. They're on Facebook, everywhere out there. Yep. They're good for new beginners. They're good for finding private lenders and information, so they're really good. I think you should attend them. My suggestion would be, if you're looking to diversify your retirement portfolio, please, and I'm serious, like, learn something about real estate. Land, new builds, fix and flip, being a lender, even if you have a career. And so anyway, guys, we can help you guys. Reach out to us. I think that's it. So, yeah, thank y'all.